How can going through a coma be related to financial success? In this thought-provoking episode from the Think and Grow Rich series, Amanda Gulik, a YouTube marketing consultant, shares her journey of building recurring passive income from her passions. You'll want to listen and learn from this interview. Would you like to think and grow rich? If so, keep on listening. This podcast is dedicated to those who have found their way from fear to freedom and for those who are considering undertaking this amazing journey. This is the Courage to Be podcast, and I am your host, Tanya Vasallo. Before we get into this episode, I'm thrilled to share that I'm hosting a series on how people's lives have been influenced by the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you'd like to learn and apply how to think and grow rich, go to the show notes to get some wonderful free resources and join the Courage to Be community. I look forward to being your guide and mentor so you can transform your life. Welcome back to the Courage to Be, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And today we have Amanda Gulik with us. And this interview is part of the series of how the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill has influenced and transformed people's lives. And I'm just so excited because Amanda has an incredible story for us. Welcome today, Amanda. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tanya. It's my pleasure. I'm excited to share and maybe inspire.
Yes, you definitely will. So let's see, where do we want to start with, Amanda? Tell us what you do for a living.
All right. Well, I help entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, build their businesses online by using YouTube marketing. And we can go into how this all happened because it's part of, what I've learned from Napoleon Hill and what I attracted. So we definitely can go into that. But yeah, my focus right now is really helping fellow entrepreneurs build recurring passive income from their passions using the power of YouTube marketing. So not being a YouTuber, there's a difference.
I love it. And that rings in everyone's ears, passive income through YouTube.
Yeah.
So yes, let's dive deeper into this, and then we'll weave in how Think and Grow Rich influenced you too, because everyone wants to be able to generate passive income. I mean, they say that the wealthy tend to have approximately 6 to 7 different streams of income.
Right. Yes. Yes, so definitely.
How did you land on this? Like, how did you discover passive income? We all want to learn, not just investing in the stock market or through our jobs or our business and real estate and other ways. Like, how did you come about YouTube and passive income? So you can share some of your tips and tricks with us.
Yeah, well, I was raised by entrepreneurs who also so they had their own businesses. My dad had a woodworking shop. My mother ran a suntan salon, but they also always did direct marketing or network marketing on the side as well. And they also invested in rental real estate. And so I really learned from an early age to do the work one time, set it up to create this recurring income stream. But I watched my father having to, head out in the middle of the night to fix a toilet, right? So I'm thinking, well, that's not really passive income. And it wasn't until I heard about Robert Kiyosaki, and he really taught me that idea of, okay, you need to hire somebody to take care of those toilets. Now you have passive recurring income. And then I was thinking, as a child that was brought up in the network marketing world, I'm sure you probably have heard of this, Tanya, but a lot of network marketing companies constantly promote Napoleon Hill. And it's really a big focus on mindset and on seeing the full picture of the goal, the vision that you have for your life, and not straying from that, really noticing when you have those negative mental thoughts come in, or those unworthy thoughts come in, that, what do they call it nowadays? The imposter syndrome, right? When it comes in. Yeah, thinking, oh, who am I? Who am I to help? But you're always one step ahead of anybody else who's never done whatever it is that you're doing. So you're always the expert. It doesn't matter what level you're at, you're always the expert. And so I thought, how can I take what I learned from Napoleon Hill and from Robert Kiyosaki, and I had this passion of wanting to empower kids and teenagers, because I had a pretty rough time as a teenager. And I know how important it is to empower kids and teens and to show them that it's possible to actually have a life that they want to live and do the work once and get paid for it over and over. So that's when I started my program on teaching children about money, helping parents teach their kids about money. Don't worry, I'm coming around to YouTube, but I want to give you the picture of how it came together. I also had a passion for decorating cakes, but I knew, even though I was really good at decorating cakes, and people would always say, oh, Amanda, you should have a cake decorating business. I knew intuitively, but then you're only getting paid once for an awful lot of effort and most likely not a whole lot of income. And I watched my mom have a home bake, a cake decorating business. And I thought, I don't want to do that. So what I did instead is I started taking photos and videos of the cake decorating. And I created that into an ebook and into videos that I posted on my YouTube channel. And I started earning ad revenue or sales from my email. And that teaching children about money program, it became a course for parents. And then I would sell those. But the really cool thing, and this is how it all comes together. Now, I say it's really cool. I do not recommend this to anybody else on earth ever. I ended up in a coma. So do not do that. It's not recommended. But in 2016, I was under a lot of pressure. And when you're under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, you don't take very good care of yourself. Am I right? Right? Yeah. And so I ended up with double lung pneumonia. And what happened is I was supposed to be transferred from our local hospital that did not have an ICU because my oxygen plummeted. And I was not going to survive unless they got me to a hospital with an ICU so they could track me. And they had to paralyze me, intubate me, and put me into a medically induced coma for the transfer. And I was only supposed to be for a couple of days. Apparently I had a really good attitude at the time and I was so tired. I'm like, oh yeah, no, sleep would be great. Thank you. But I have no recollection of this. I was told this later. I got to the other hospital and it got worse. My lungs actually failed. They stopped working on their own. And I developed what's called acute respiratory distress syndrome. And I ended up staying in that coma in a plateau state for 3 weeks until finally I started to come back out of it. And it's amazing that I did, because at that time, I had roughly a 20% chance of actually surviving. So I'm so grateful. I, however, woke up as a now permanently disabled lung person. You're going to hear it as we have this conversation. I'll get more breathy and you'll hear it. And so it's been this rehab curve over the years, but I knew in my mind I had to find a way to do the work once, especially now that I was a disabled lung person with very limited physical resources, and then to earn money, recurringly every single month. And after about 3 months of doing rehab, learning how to drink, or actually learning how to breathe, drink, eat, move, walk, talk, like I had to relearn everything. And that is what I find so amazing, that process of learning it all. But when I was finally strong enough to get back on my computer, Tanya, I was surprised. I was shocked. While I was literally in a coma, fighting for my life, asleep, I was earning recurring passive income every single month. And that blew me away. Work that I had done previously. I was selling ebooks. I was selling my courses. I was earning ad revenue. I was getting royalties from my books on Amazon. Now, it wasn't a lot. It was only a couple of $100 every single month. But the idea really sparked in my mind. I set that up one time. And I set that up with the intention of having it create this recurring passive income. And, using Napoleon Hill's teachings of, I've had vision boards and, digital mind movies, and I've had, gratitude journals, and I just keep constantly focusing on the end result that I desire, but making sure to always use the positive present tense. Never I wish or I want, because then you're pushing it out. But I have, being grateful for it now, even if it's not there, because we trick our minds to find ways, right? To find opportunities, to have Tanya reach out to you and say, hey, can I interview you on my podcast? And so my mission changed, and I set up my cake decorating and my teaching, my financial education for kids on autopilot. And I put my focus into helping you, the viewer, the listener, you find ways to turn your passions, whether it's cake decorating or empowering kids with money smarts, and turning it into passive recurring income by using the power of YouTube, because that is what actually generated the leads, generated the traffic while I was in a coma. It was YouTube. And you don't even have to show your face on YouTube to make it work for you. So anyway, and it's free, which is like craziness. So yeah, I know that was a long-winded version, but I wanted to really give you the full scope of how I got started with this.
It is such a fascinating story to me because you started your YouTube channel when no one had a channel back in the
Yeah.
day, right?
2007. Yes.
Yes. So it's kind of like you were one of the pioneers and you didn't really know what you were doing. You were just sharing value about cake making.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were in this coma for 3 weeks and that one video, like you said, tell us the story a little bit about that. Like, didn't that like
Oh, yes.
you
I know which
first
one
made
you're
like
talking.
20 cents because of
Yes.
AdSense and you're like,
Yes.
oh my God, 20 cents, like, and this goes for the
Yeah.
listener. As you're listening to this or watching, you might think in your head, oh, well, 20 cents is not a lot of money, but that first 20 cents that you make
Oh,
online
oh my
without having
gosh.
to do any work,
Yeah.
you have to hold a space for that for it to start snowballing with it. Tell us a little bit
So
about that, Amanda, how
yeah,
that
so
all transpired.
so that was my how to bake a cake video. So what had happened is in 2007, that's when I started both ventures because I'm a Gemini and I have to do two things at once, which I also don't recommend. It takes you longer. Just focus on one. But I set up two things, but I used one channel because at that time you didn't have multiple YouTube channels. You didn't, if you wanted different niches, you just created like a little sub channel, which is now called a playlist. But at that time, it was just a sub channel. So if you go to my YouTube channel, it's like all over the place. I'm actually in the process of figuring out how I want to separate it into multiple channels instead, because it will help feed the algorithm better and it will serve my viewers better. But it's a lot of work after being on YouTube for, oh my gosh, what is it? Close to 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so one day I thought, well, for my cake decorating, I really want to share this vanilla sponge cake recipe that we always use. It was my favorite recipe. I actually didn't actually enjoy eating cake except for that one cake, but I enjoyed decorating them. And so I thought I'm just going to make a video. So I spent 3 hours to bake the cake, like video it, do the editing, upload the video. That was it. It cost me less than $20 in ingredients and 3 hours. Right. And I put it on YouTube. And at that time, you didn't have to have qualifications to join the AdSense, the ad revenue sharing program. You just could. So I had signed up for that. And that video kind of got a couple of views. And about a year later, oh my gosh, that 20 cents that you said, right? I saw this video. I made 20 cents and I made this like a year ago and I didn't do anything else and it's made money. And I knew this is passive income. And I thought, well, let's wait. So the next month, yeah, there was that 20 cents. And then about a year later, that had grown. And that one video was making $20 a month. Again, I realize that doesn't sound like a lot, but think about it. That one video that cost me less than $20 to make was now earning me over 100% return every single month, right? For something I set up one time. So I knew it was just a numbers game. I knew it was just learning deeper about the algorithm, learning more about my customers and what, would draw them to them, how to attract them, and how to provide really good value. I did a couple of things accidentally that worked tremendously well with the algorithm. By the time COVID hit in 2020, when everyone was at home and nobody could go out and buy birthday cakes and they had to make their own, and they were looking at my video, that one video alone was earning between $300 and $400 every single month. Just that one video. Now it has dropped because COVID is, still out there doing its thing, but we have ways, to work with it so people are able to go and buy their birthday cakes again. But isn't that incredible, that concept of how much it was earning when it just cost me 3 hours and less than $20 to make, right? So I knew this is an option, but I also knew, because I've been on YouTube now for close to 20 years, that ad revenue is not your bread and butter. What you have to see it as is ad revenue is really cool because you're getting paid to promote your business. Instead of paying to promote your business, you're getting paid to promote your business. And then you can use that income to promote it, or to build your business further. So I got so excited by this. And like I had said, I'd also done videos helping parents with teaching their kids about money. I also did a lot of videos on law of attraction because I'm a huge fan of Napoleon Hill and mind movies and vision boards and like anything you have to do with, abundance and attracting and personal development. So I have that on my channel, and I know it helps, both genres. And then I started to merge over into videos on helping other people start their own business and use YouTube. And so that's how it kind of came about. But isn't that just incredible? And a tip I would have is when you're ready to start a YouTube channel to promote your own business, don't mess up the algorithm by having a whole bunch of niches on one channel. Just do one channel for one niche. You can have a broad, like say it's online business. You can talk about marketing platforms. You can talk about, YouTube strategies. You can talk about Facebook strategies. You can talk about sales funnels, but keep it within that, what's interesting to that viewer. Don't suddenly throw in a cake video and confuse the algorithm.
But that's great that you learned all of that along the way. And thank you so much for sharing those tips for those of us, putting our YouTube videos together, or even anyone might be listening and saying like, oh my God, I'm really good at this. Like what kind of videos could I put on YouTube? So this is fascinating. I love this story. So you said that you also had other like ebooks and courses because you were focused on abundance and money, teaching parents with money and all that. Were those generating you passive income too?
Yeah, everything. Again, it was just put into my head at such a young age. When I was reading The Science of Getting sorry, I just lost the name of it. I think it's The Science of Getting
Rich, or The Science of Personal Achievement. I mean, he has so many different
He
books.
does, but I'm pretty sure it was The Science of Getting Rich. And I just remember thinking what these mentors were teaching him was honestly to do the work once, pay yourself first, right? Like envision what you want, like all these wealth principles. And people think, okay, so, law of attraction, manifesting, that's woo woo. It's not. You can see it logically and scientifically. You're literally focusing your brain on what you want. We have this little part in our brain here that sets a focus on us. And then we don't see the things that won't make it happen, not as much as we did before. And we'll start noticing the things that will make it happen. Like we have to take action. It's not just, I'm so happy and grateful I have this beautiful home. Thank you. And poof, there it is. That'd be really nice, but we have to put a bit more energy, but we have to open ourselves up for it and then allow those things to come in. A really great example, Tanya, is my mom gave me this example when I was young. I never realized how much my parents were teaching me the law of attraction without realizing it. Especially my dad, who's like totally against anything woo-woo at all. But he's just like, well, mind over matter. I'm like, that would be law of attraction. But my mom said to me, when you're pregnant, you are going to notice all the pregnant women around you. Suddenly there are going to be so many pregnant women. She says, when you buy a car, you're going to notice that same car, that same color everywhere. She's like, it's crazy, but they're always there. You just never notice them until you're focused on it. And that's what it is with success, with abundance. It's always there. We put up walls, to stop it from coming in, which are often fed by this internal fear that we're not worthy of it, right? We don't deserve it. Other people deserve it more because that's how we're kind of indoctrinated as children. Everybody else is more important than we are. And once we can see that, because that's probably always going to be there, but when you can see it, you say, oh, thank you. That thought no longer serves me. Goodbye. I appreciate you trying to protect me. Goodbye. That information is now faulty. Thank you. And so on.
All right, let's take a little break and we'll continue with the interview in just a second, because I wanted to share with you that our self-confidence camp just started this week and the energy in there has been amazing. I share this because there's still time to join us so that you can quantum leap your self-confidence. I know that no matter how confident you feel, there's always room for growth. And the great thing is that if you sign up with us now, you get to take advantage of some incredible bonuses like 8 additional live calls, a one-on-one session with me to determine your definiteness of purpose, the self-discipline camp, accountability and support in an amazing community that's determined to end 2023 at a whole other level. So, are you ready to boost your self-confidence? If so, just check out the show notes for more information. I'd love to see you there. Love it. And thank you for explaining it so well, because I agree. I think many people, once they saw the law of, they
Great,
thought
yes.
that, it's like, oh, law of attraction just means, like I'll say 100 affirmations every day and it'll just drop in my lap. But it requires so much more, like you were saying,
Yeah.
you have to stay focused, you have to take action, you have to fuse it with emotion too, like that's just one of the principles. And I love that your mom shared with you about pregnant women, because
Yeah.
it's such a reality. It's all part of our reticular activating system. For those of you that are thinking like, oh, this is too woo-woo, no, there is scientific proof. Like, we have a part in our brain that's called the reticular activating system that focuses, because we're constantly getting information, so many bits of information per second, millions of it. So your brain, to not have a short circuit going on, has to figure out, how do I decipher or let in the things that are of interest to me? And like you're saying, if I'm pregnant, then you're going to see all the pregnant women. If you're getting a new Jeep, you're going to see the new red Jeep that you never saw before, but you're seeing them now. That's so, I love this subject. That's so fascinating to me. But I want to
Yeah.
come back to, you were mentioning vision boards and gratitude and mind movies and all these other things. Talk to us about that. Or maybe you have even a particular story that you had an image on the vision board, or that you thought a certain thing. I love hearing, because these are just other modalities of autosuggestion, which is one of the main principles that Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich. But what are some examples, and what kind of things have you been feeding into your mind?
Yeah. And that is actually it. Like, all of these different things, it's not like you have to do all of them. You're going to find the one that's going to fit right for you, but you try them all to figure out which is going to fit right for you. And the more you do, obviously, the more you're auto suggesting. So it's all auto suggestion. Very quickly, just to go back to how we're focusing, I want to share one more thing that I think would be really helpful as far as understanding how it is a very scientific thing and not just a woo-woo concept. My daughter, she is autistic, and she is unable to filter out. So she sees everything all at once, and it's very overwhelming. And so being able to focus on a certain thing is very difficult. Those of us who are not autistic or on the autism spectrum, we already understand, not perhaps consciously, but unconsciously, how to filter. And what we're doing now is we're intentionally filtering. So that's all. We're just taking something we're already good at and intentionally really fine-tuning our focus. For my daughter, she uses white noise to help her focus. She has to, as she says, she has to deaden one sense so that she can just focus on another. Right. But luckily for the majority of us, we don't need this. So, be appreciative of the fact that your brain is already doing this, and now learn how to fine tune it. So some of the things that you mentioned with the vision board and the mind movies. So I've always had vision boards. I'm actually in the middle of having to revamp mine. You can have a quick look here and you see that it's a little bit ripped because my cat has gotten to it, which is perfect because it just means it's time to revamp it again. But I always have a vision board. And there are certain places where you want to have images or words that are really going to help get into your mind. And one of the places is the bathroom, right? Go for the rooms where you're going to be more often, right? So across from your toilet, on your mirror or whatever, have an affirmation. I am enough. Right? Have pictures. This is my office. And in my office, when I look around, I have believe, I have more than most. I have I am enough. Like, I have these phrases always looking at me. I have this lovely affirmation. Abundance flows easily to me. I'm open and ready to receive it, on the wall over there. Right? So the vision boards are really great. And a couple of tips that I use for that is put yourself in the vision board. So you're not looking at somebody else having the dream come true. You're looking at yourself. If it's a car, go to the car dealership, do a test drive, take your friend or a significant other and have them take a picture of you in the car, right? And put that on there. If it's a house, with what we can do digitally, and especially with AI, you can literally just tell ChatGPT or whichever AI platform that you want, I'm wanting this kind of a house. So describe it, have a picture created, put yourself in front of it, put that on your vision board. I've mentioned mind movies. It's just a digital vision board, but it's moving toward you. And there are certain things you want it to do. You want to have a fun music associated with it, with positive words. I love the song, I Have a Millionaire Mind. I say yes to success. Like, I love that. That's one of the songs I use. I've used other songs in the past too, that just any song that makes you feel up, raising your vibration, making you feel, yes, this is my life. This is what I'm attracting. Simple things like, watch what happens when I pull my hand away. If your vision on your digital vision board, your picture is here, and then it pulls away, that psychologically tells you it's going away, right? So being conscious of that and going, oh, I'm going to start, because movement is really good for the brain. So I'm going to start with my picture of my dream car here, and I'm going to have it fly into the picture. And then I'm going to switch it to the next one and have it very subtly like fly in. It's coming towards you, or in your case, towards you, right? Putting subliminal messaging in there. So there are all these different things you can do. There's a program that you can use on your computer that, like, you're just playing subliminal messages while you're writing, or having words subliminally going across the screen. Like, there are all kinds of things. You can just Google different things. But honestly, having a physical vision board that you see every day, that's made such a difference. And over the years, so I have had multiple mind movies that I've created. I've posted a bunch of them on my YouTube channel as well to help other people get started, right? Get ideas. And so many of them have come true. Like this year alone, I was featured as a guest speaker with Mike Filsame. If you're in the internet marketing world, he's like one of the top gurus. And now we're friends. And now I help him with his Groove AI stuff. So it's like there are so many little nuances that come together because you're constantly focusing and offering value. You have to get it out of your head that you need something. Just offer value, and people will naturally feel reciprocation. They want to thank you for the value that you've given. So anyway, I hope that helped. I know that was a bunch of different things, but I just wanted to give some ideas.
I love it. I love all of the ideas, the subliminal. And even for those of us that have, if you're new to this, try it out. Like Amanda said, just experiment with different things. Try the mind movies, try the vision board, try the affirmations, write them out, but fuse them with that emotion. Like she was saying, you know, like with the music, and raise your vibration with it. It's fascinating to me. That's why I love doing this series, because I like to see and understand how other people are manifesting. You know, I consider myself pretty much a queen of manifestation, but I like to see how other people are doing it and learning some tips and tricks around that.
I have one more.
Yeah, please.
If that's okay, because this is one I started doing last December. I've consistently done every single day, except I think one day this year. And in the beginning, it was really easy. And then it became really hard. The self-doubt coming in, oh, this is silly. You're wasting time. I don't want to do this. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to do it anyway. And then I'm loving doing this. This is great. And it's funny how it goes around in this circle. And all it was, and I got this idea from, I believe his name is Jake Ducey. Anyway, I got the idea from an email from one of the mentors that I follow. And what it was is you choose 3 of your goals. So 3 of the things you absolutely demand to have in your life. Right? And you take about 3 to 6 times a day. You take about 10 to 20 seconds for each goal. And you just imagine it's already happened. And you close your eyes and you see yourself living whatever that goal is. So for me, the 3 things that I chose were, the first one was, because I'm still healing, right? I'm still dealing with damaged lungs, and you can't see it, but I have my foot raised because I struggle with getting the fluid out of my feet because of all the damage through my lungs and my heart. And so I see myself completely healed. And I did something that my doctor said was impossible. I've healed scarring in my lung. They told me if I was lucky, I would regain 80% of my original self. But they were like, if you're lucky, right? I've surpassed that. But in the x-rays and the scans, I have gone from about 65% of my lung capacity to now 73% of my lung capacity. So it's like I'm literally healing. Like in the x-rays, the scar tissue is disappearing. And so that's one of my goals, is I envision myself and I say, I'm so incredibly happy and grateful now that I live in a perfectly healthy body, slim, trim, vibrant, strong, resilient, and glowing, just the exuberance of vitality. And you can see it in my face. I feel it literally when I think of it now, because it's become such a habit. I feel it. And my lungs have healed so much this past year compared to the previous, what is it now, 6 years? Oh my gosh, it's been 7 years since my coma. Yeah. In the last year, I've seen so much more healing. And the second goal is I close my eyes and I envision myself in my dream home, because I've always had this dream of buying my childhood home and renovating it. Unfortunately, we had a tornado go through our town a year ago and the house is now gone. And so my dream now is to rebuild this home. And so now I walk on the property. I'll literally drive past the property and say, don't you worry, I'm coming to fix you up, and I get so excited. Like, I love where I am right now, and I can't wait to get into that dream that I always wanted, right? That it was always a part of me. And the third one is a financial goal, just to increase again, because every year we want to increase, and feeling it and seeing myself in my office and how easy things come and how little time I need to work, but how much time I have to play with my kittens, who you might see because they're starting to come around. And so to do this 3 to 6 times a day, spend about 10 to 20 seconds on each of them, and just really take a moment to feel how wonderful it feels. And then make sure you're saying to yourself, like, you're feeling what you're feeling, the peace, the happiness, the joy, the gratitude, like, feel all of those higher level emotions. And then just say to the universe, and anything in the way of this, just simply delete it, destroy it, uncreate it across all time, space, dimension, and reality. I learned that from another mentor. I always piece everything together. That one was from Christine Marie Sheldon.
I was just going to say,
yes, you recognize that? Yeah, she's amazing. And then I also used, I don't know if you've heard of Marissa Peer.
Auto suggestion, use all her stuff too.
Yes. And so then I always finish with, I direct, instruct, command, compel, and code every single cell of my body to heal completely right now, to function perfectly and properly right now, and to be open and receptive for abundance and healing, wealth, and love right now. And you feel so light, you feel so good. It's so simple. And yeah, so I kind of meshed together a bunch of different things, and that has become my mantra every day. I do that multiple times and I love it. And like I said, when I started, it was easy, it was fun. And then it started being like, oh, this is silly. What are you doing? All that, natural wanting to slow things down. No, I'm going to do it anyway, even if it feels silly. I've had days when I'm like, yeah, I love this healthy body. On a really, painful day, I love this healthy body, but it doesn't matter. It's setting that pattern.
It is. It's rewiring the brain. And thanks for your honesty with that, because it's work. We all have to do this, and it takes work, like listening to an auto suggestion. I recommend this to my clients too. Like, listen to this for 30 days or listen, like, say it or write it out, infuse it with it. That requires effort. It requires time. It requires energy. So that's the part of the brain that doesn't want to do it, because it just wants to keep you safe and comfortable in that zone where it's all familiar. What you have to do, that Marissa Peer talks about, is make the unfamiliar familiar, and just get uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable for a little bit. So it's great that you're pushing through. I wanted to have you repeat the part of Marissa Peer's, like the taking it away from the from incorporated all the cells, because I don't use that one.
Yeah, anything in the way of this, please simply delete, destory, uncreate across all time, space, and dimension.
And that one's from Christine Sheldon. But what's the other one from? And then put it into my body cells.
Yeah, the Marissa Peer. It's I direct, instruct, command, compel, and code. I often also say, and absolutely insist. And then whatever it is that you want to, I talk about myself because I'm always focused on healing, but it can be whatever it is. I direct, instruct, command, compel, and code. And you have to say that it's happening right now. The perfect person to enter my life today to help my business. It's right in this moment.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that one. I always love getting new tips and trying new things on. So I love that you're sharing that one, Amanda. So talk to me. This is wonderful that you've shared all these tips. How do you deal? You were saying now that there's certain days that you're like, oh, like now it's getting boring. I don't feel like doing this anymore. How do you deal with the negative self-talk, or when your critter brain starts getting in the way of
Yeah.
you doing the things that you should be doing?
Exactly. And it does. And it doesn't matter how successful somebody is, it does. And don't ever think that, oh, I have this, but nobody else deals with this. Everybody deals with it. And so I have gotten to the stage now where I notice it. Noticing it is the biggest key you can ever get, because most of the time we're just right in there. We're in the emotion of, this is horrible, this is awful. And let yourself, that's fine. Have a woe is me moment, that's fine. Then notice that it's happening. As soon as you notice it's happening, you've taken yourself out of it. It might still feel awful, but you've taken yourself out of it. And now you have a choice. Now you can say, okay, I'm going to let myself cry, because that's a great way to get energy out, get it all out. And now I'm going to take a breath, have a cup of tea, take a break, allow things to start getting better again. And honestly, it will happen less and less. Now, I know the majority of you are women like us. And so very potentially, once a month, you may find it harder than others. We have a circadian rhythm as well. So when you have moments of overwhelm, like yesterday was a very difficult day for me physically. We have snow coming in, and with all the stuff my body is going through, I was in so much pain. And in those days, it's hard to stay focused on, no, I will completely heal. Like, I will be healthier than I've ever been in my entire life. Like, that is my goal. I'm not stopping till I got there. Right. And so on days when it's really hard, I have to remind myself, it's okay if I don't get work done today. It's okay if I just take some me time. I took a nice hot bath. And boy, did that help with the pain, right? Find things that are going to make you feel okay, and you'll get over it. And you'll get this little voice that comes in your head and it says, okay, we've had our pity party. Now, what are we going to do now?
I love that. I tend to be, because you know what I see in you, Amanda, is just your optimism, your positivity, and just your outlook towards life, and just having that positive mental attitude. Another one of the things that Napoleon Hill talks about a lot. And it doesn't mean, because for many of us that are in the self-development world, or like improving ourselves or reaching a higher potential that we all have, some people can sometimes poo-poo that and be like, you can't always be happy and positive, and
yes.
don't try, telling me that I can't feel the pain. And it's not about that. You just gave such a clear example of, you're having a crappy day. We're all going to have crappy days.
Day.
It's human, and it's part of the human experience, but it's how you deal with it. And how do you want to respond to it? And I love that you said, I was having a challenging day physically, and you gave yourself permission to say, you know what? I'm taking a bath. I'm making myself a tea. I'm not doing more work, and it's okay. I think women in particular, we need to hear more of this, because the moment we take care of ourselves, we allow ourselves to go through that, whether we're in our cycle, like you were saying. There's another great episode in the podcast about cycles and working with our cycle, because it's such an important topic that we've ignored. But thank you for that reminder. It's okay to take time off. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not do work that day. Like, I have my daughter here at home today because her throat she wasn't feeling good. And I could have easily gone like, oh my God, but I have to record the podcast and I have to do this and I have to do that. And I'm like, you know what? No, let me take care of her, and then we'll do something together. We're doing this and we'll turn it into something great. And with the pity parties, I just wanted to add to this for anyone that's listening. I usually tell myself, I give myself permission to whine with 3 people. It usually is my husband, a close friend, and maybe a colleague or something that I just caught at that moment. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And I'll cry, or because I usually cry when I get frustrated.
Yeah,
and
me too.
that's my way of venting it. And so then you just you move on. It's like, Tanya, have the pity party, cry whatever you need, give yourself a day, give yourself an afternoon, several hours, whatever you need, share it with 3 more people. Don't give it more energy. Just move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll first feel just drained. And then you'll feel kind of empty. And in that emptiness, now I have a choice. Now I can fill that emptiness with more grief if I, feel I need more. Or, you know what? I think I've had enough. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm going to be kind to myself. And what you said as well is, where people will be like, oh, this positivity, get real. As a child, I'm pretty sure that I am also on the Asperger's spectrum as well. When I see things with my daughter, I'm like, oh, I totally recognize that in myself. And one of the things that had happened to me all the time when I was a child was people were always like, Amanda, you live behind rose-colored glasses, like, be real. For some reason, being optimistic meant you were not real. And I had to learn that no, optimistic is realism. Pessimism is realism, but you get to choose which they're both real. My daughter has this amazing shirt, and people always say, are you a glasses half full or a glasses half empty person? Where it's both real, right? They're both real. And so her shirt says it's, it's completely full. And then it's got a diagram. It's got water, air.
I love it.
And it's like, it's all perspective, but it's still real. It's still real. So if you're in a pessimistic mood, it's your reality. If you're in an optimistic mood, it's your reality. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't match somebody else's. Don't ever, 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 ever let somebody else's perspective hurt your own. Protect yourself. You can honor them. You don't have to tell them, oh, you're wrong. Like, don't add more antagonism. Be kind, honor it. Say, yeah, I can see that. But you don't have to say, yeah, you're right, because you're affirming what they're thinking. Yeah, I can see I can see that. Just letting them know that, yeah, you can see it is enough. And you're protecting yourself. Internally, that whatever is your version is right for you. Do what is right for you.
That is awesome. Yes. Thank you for that one, Amanda. I want to ask you about connecting to your intuition. And how do you do that? How do you lean into your intuition?
It's funny. I've been noticing this more and more after years of really focusing on journaling and vision boards. And it's funny how I was just listening to one this morning. It was all about just adding 2% more each day, just 2%, a little 2%. We think, oh, we have to do this and this and this. Just do 2% more of your, affirmations, or 2% more of your actions towards your goal, just 2%. And it's funny how over time it compounds. It's not just 2 plus 2 plus 2. It's 2 plus 2 plus the piece of the 2 plus the piece of that 2. And it just compounds. And then your intuition becomes more available. And I was working on something yesterday, and I use AI a lot now to help me with my YouTube marketing, because as a physical disabled person, I have found AI is a saving grace for actually getting work done that was otherwise taking me so long to do. As my oxygen depletes, my ability to think depletes. That affects my writing, right? So things like that. And as I was working yesterday, this is when all the pain was coming in, and it was like I was suddenly connected to my intuition. That darn ChatGPT wouldn't keep my text in there. I started typing and it would blank out. You know how you have to like click in a box to get it to work? I'd have to click in the box again to get it to work. I'd do a few more words and it'd be gone again. I'd have to click in to get that box. And I've learned over time, this isn't just a tech issue. This is Amanda, wake up. You're hurting. You need time to heal right now, not work. And so it was literally, connecting and realizing, instead of, because normally my normal way of going would have been like, this tech is bugging me and I'd have to find the solution to the tech, instead of, oh, maybe it'll work tomorrow and I'll just take some time today, that kind of thing.
I love these stories. Have there been other moments? Do you carve out time to connect and lean into intuition, or do you just listen to the voice when it shows up, like it did yesterday with the tech?
I get a lot of songs. Like
Oh,
this morning.
wow.
So every morning I have time for myself. I have a cup of tea. I usually just do hot water with cinnamon, ginger, and turmeric and pepper to help with inflammation. It's delicious after you get used to the turmeric. And I have that while I play Candy Crush and listen to my meditations, because with the way my mind works, I absorb if I'm doing something. So I just puzzle while I'm listening. And then I had this point and I'm like, oh, I need to do this thing and I need to do this thing. I don't really want to do this thing. And then I had this song constantly playing in my mind. And I can't even remember. It was from Madonna. I think Madonna and Prince sang it together. And it's like, are you wasting my time? Are you just being kind? And I'm like, right. Yes, I'm kind of wasting time right now, but I'm just being kind to myself. Like, and it's like I get these moments where I hear songs because I've always loved singing. And one of the things that was taken from me when I had my coma, I wasn't able to sing for a while after that, which devastated me. So I hear songs and they usually have a message. And it's like that one line will play over and over until I'm like, oh, yes, yes, I noticed it. Hello. Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, but so as far as intentionally, every morning I take that time and it's about half an hour of just having my tea, candy crushing while listening to, the different people that I listen to for my meditations. And then in the bath, because I have a hot bath once a week as well, then I have a meditation as well. And I'll choose from Marissa Peer or Christy Marie or Vishen Lakhiani or whoever it happens to be, Napoleon Hill, I don't know, right? Yeah. So I take
It's
the time.
fascinating.
Yeah, for me, it's songs. So find what is it that constantly occurs in your life that is connected to you to be your guide, right? For me, it was always singing. It could be something else for you.
And I love that you're saying that you do Candy Crush,
I
because
do.
some people would be like, oh my God, blasphemy. What do you mean meditating and playing Candy Crush at the same time? But it's just such proof of your awareness of how your mind
Yes.
works, and that you do better while you're doing something and letting
Yes.
that meditation or that auto suggestion going into your mind. That's fascinating.
I use that when I'm studying as well. I always knew I had to connect it to something. And I think that's part of the autism. But yeah. And this is another thing I do all day long. I'll sip on my green juice, my green smoothies that I make.
Yes, you were telling me about this the other day. You putting all kinds of stuff in your green juices, from
Yes.
Brussels sprouts to kale. I was like, Brussels sprouts? I
Yes.
don't put Brussels sprouts in mine. That's great.
Cabbage, broccoli. Oh, yeah, it's good.
Good for you. That's awesome. So I want to touch on a couple other principles from Napoleon Hill. One of them is the power of the mastermind. And I know that you resonated with this principle. Tell us, how did you learn about the mastermind and how has that influenced your life?
I heard, and again, this is probably from my days as a child listening, because I would go to a lot of the different network marketing meetings with my parents, which I love. I'm so grateful they did that. And none of us are in network marketing now, but what we learned was just so amazing. And one of the things was the 6 people that you surround yourself with, or the 5 people, like the people you surround yourself with are the people you become. So Napoleon Hill's idea of having a mastermind, like not just relying on your perception, your concepts, your vision, but finding those like-minded individuals and really try to find individuals who are already a step ahead of where you want to get, and then surrounding yourself with them. And a lot of people think, oh, I have to personally be with these people all the time, but I have found it doesn't matter. You could just be consistently watching their YouTube video every week. You could consistently be in a Facebook group where you're, talking with each other, but intentionally surrounding yourself with people who have a similar goal in life, who have a similar level of optimism, negativity, like where it resonates with you, but a little bit further ahead of where you are, so that you're constantly pulled to be your best, right? That's been huge. So yeah, I have the YouTubers that I follow are because I resonate with where they are, where I want to be. The internet marketing people that I follow are where they are because it's where they want to be. Like I said, I'm close friends now with Mike Phil Same. I never thought that would happen, right? Like that's just incredible, and having all those connections. And in your personal life as well, I realize you probably want to carve out time for some friends who do kind of have that heavier energy because you feel obligated, keep it very minimal and fill your time with the things that make you feel good, and use that energy connection of other people, because it will help bring out the best of you.
It was, oh, such great tips that you're giving us. I also want to touch on something. How many kids do you have?
I have two kiddos.
What
I say
ages are they
kiddos, they're
now?
like 21 and 19.
29, 21 and 19. And you homeschool them, right? At the
I
beginning years?
homeschooled them until grade 5 and 7, and then they went to the public school system, and now they're both in college. One of them is studying film production, and the other one is video game design.
This is amazing, because I wanted to ask you, as a mom that has homeschooled, with your wife, right? Partner or wife?
Yeah, she's my wife now. Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on bringing, instead of general knowledge, which is what's taught in schools,
Yeah.
teaching specialized knowledge, like what Napoleon Hill talks about in
Yes.
all of his books?
I would have homeschooled the entire time, because I absolutely loved it. My kids loved it. It worked really well. I happened to be going through a divorce, which was okay. It was amicable. And then he ended up with another woman who had a home daycare. And because of the home daycare and the transitions and stuff, they wanted to have them in school. It was easier back and forth. And I thought, you know what? I trust that my children have learned enough of the outlook I was really trying to teach them. And I loved parent teacher nights. Oh my gosh, because they would just rave about my kids. And I'm like, I'm just going because I want to hear how wonderful they are. But they would connect with all ages, because that's one of the things with homeschooling. You tend to teach them how to connect with all ages. It's not peers. So they didn't succumb to a lot of peer pressure, right? Which was nice, because they could see the bigger all, perspective. So those kind of things.
It's a fascinating subject to me. I mean, my daughter is also at a school where they have mixed grades. So they have 4 different grades in that
Like a
group. And
Montessori type.
yes, it is a
Yes,
Montessori. And so
I love that.
I do love, I mean, we could do a whole other podcast about schooling and education and stuff,
Yes.
but I do love that part of her being integrated, she's in 5th grade, but there's
And then
kids
she's
from
helping
3rd
teach the
grade,
younger.
4th grade,
Yes.
6th and 7th, like it's a big range that they have in there. But
Nice.
yeah, she kind of makes fun of me sometimes because she knows how involved I am with Napoleon Hill. I guess it might be a little bit kind of like your parents with network marketing and all the self-development, and maybe you made fun of them, but the seeds were planted. And so to me, it's such an important part of the education of how, like Napoleon Hill talks about this, of just the difference between general knowledge, which is what we tend to teach in schools, versus finding specialized knowledge, which
Yeah.
we don't usually get to until we're in university, and
Well,
so what
yeah.
if we taught these principles to our kids, to the future generation, like the principles of connecting with your intuition, masterminding, the power of decision making, the power of
Auto-suggestion.
auto-suggestion,
Yeah.
like all of these different things. What are your thoughts on that, Amanda, as a
I always
mom that's homeschooled?
I always considered those like the life skills. The life skills, right? The skills you need to not just survive, but to thrive, right? That was the whole purpose behind me wanting to help parents teach their kids about money, because I knew it wasn't something that was taught in school beyond knowing how many pennies was in a dollar. There wasn't any concept of, but how do you make your money grow? How do you create financial freedom for yourself? They might have taught you, well, compounding interest, but they probably didn't tell you what to do with it, right? And they told you saving is good, but they didn't tell you why, or what you were saving for, or how to invest. And so the same thing with all these other skills that it's our job as parents to teach all this, but we don't always know it ourselves, right? So yeah, very good point.
We could definitely have you on the podcast at another moment to talk about kids and finances, because we just focused on the main thing right now and your business and the way of thinking. Where can people find you, Amanda?
My business name is Dough, Dough. So cleverdough.com. And I did that because I was trying to be clever. It was like being clever with your dough, cake decorating, teaching kids to be smart with their money, being clever with their dough, right? So that's where I came up with that. And so if you go to cleverdough.com, that's where you'll find the links to the different things. But the one I would really like you to focus on, if you're interested in taking your passion and turning it into passive income using YouTube, and don't worry about having to be on camera, we can deal with that, right? Then head over to cleverdough.com/YouTube. And right now on that page, you'll find a book that you can download. It's called Rank Fast, and it just shows you how you can rank videos on YouTube quickly. But I'm actually creating a course that will be for free, teaching you the power of YouTube and how to actually use it to create that passive income for yourself. And the beautiful thing is YouTube is free, and the strategies I teach you are free. So it's just, yeah, I think it'll help a lot.
Thank you for that. And we'll definitely have it in the show notes. And as we're wrapping up, what's one of the most important principles from Napoleon Hill's work that you would like our listeners to focus on, that you identify with most?
I honestly think that going silent and paying attention to those nagging things, like in my case, the songs that just keep popping in, going silent and going, okay, especially in a difficult time, what do I need right now? And just allowing the answer to come to you. And at first you might feel forced and you'll be like, I'm sitting here for 5 minutes and nothing's coming through, which is fine. Leave it, do it again later, right? But just allowing yourself to just go silent for a minute and just literally try not to think. Just, you can see your thoughts and notice them and just wait for that message to come in, because it will come in, and it'll come in really quick when you get used to it, and it'll come in really long the first time you try it, but don't worry about it. And the other thing is just really, really, really take advantage of auto-suggestion and do those affirmations, create that vision board. It doesn't matter, but do something every day.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for your presence, for being here, for your time, for your wisdom, and for all these tips. I have to go back and re-listen to all of this, Amanda. This was fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya, for inviting me. This was so much fun, and I really hope that this has helped you in some way.
It will. I know the listeners will get something out of it. Just rate and review the podcast if you want
Yes.
to, or send us a message and let us know that you enjoyed it. Thank you, Amanda.
Find her on YouTube and give her a like on her podcast.
Thank you. I am so grateful that you joined me today. If you enjoyed it, there's one thing I'd like you to do. Click on the follow button so you don't miss a single episode. Leave me a rating and a review, and please share. As my way to thank you, email us a screen grab of your review at the email in the show notes, and we will send you a free Crafting Your Future guided visualization, which is so simple to do with outstanding results. It will empower you and give you the confidence to attract and create the life you've always desired. See you in our next episode.